It's been a bloody weekend so far in Chicago, with more than a dozen shootings in 48 hours.
Since Friday evening around 5 o'clock, there have been at least 21 shootings across the city, totaling about 36 victims, at least 5 of whom have died.
I just woke up to some tragic news. I just received news that between sundown Saturday and sunrise today, 25 people were shot across Chicago. 3 of them lost their lives.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my peepo. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, I think we're going to be talking about Chicago probably on a daily basis for the upcoming several days. And the reason why is simple. Chicago is the next place that the administration is saying it's going to send a surge of federal ICE agents and probably National Guard. So we need to know every step that happens leading up to this so that when this goes down, we're ready for it and we know exactly what led up to it. Now, we all know that your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, the Dramacrat, Brandon Johnson, we all know that he's there trying to stop any kind of assistance from coming into his city, to stop the violence, the shootings, the killings, and to kind of highlight his failure as a mayor over the Labor Day weekend. And so far, we're only halfway through, y'all. We're only halfway through Labor Day weekend, and there have already been 35 people shot and at least 5 or more people killed. And we're only halfway through. Now, y'all, I'm going to give you a quick analogy, and then we're going to jump into this story, which is heartbreaking, but it's also important that we know so that, again, once this surge of federal troops comes through, which it's apparently they're building, so that we are fully informed. But y'all, I'm going to give you a quick analogy. I was trying to think about this. I was thinking about this because, see, one of the big kind of talking points is, why are you going to send in federal troops? Well, yeah, we have a violence problem, but violence has decreased by 30%. It's decreased by 35%. So I try to think of an analogy like, and I admit argumentation by analogy is a very dicey business, but I try to think, what if you lived in a pretty nice house and you have an adult child who lives in one of the rooms in your house, and one day their door is open and you notice they have a bunch of rodents in their room, like not pets, like their room's junky. They have food everywhere. It's very unkempt, right? And they have a pest problem. And you say, oh my gosh, like I really try to keep this house nice. You have to get this under control. And sometime later, you go back to their room. Let's say several weeks later, you go back to their room and you say, yo, I'm still seeing a bunch of rodents. I'm still seeing a bunch of pests. I'm about to call an exterminator. And they say, no, ma, no, dad. You might not be able to tell this, but there's 30% less pests in my room now than there were. Wouldn't you just say, I don't care. I still see a bunch of pests. It's unacceptable. I'm calling the exterminator. That's what I think is happening in Chicago. Now, I'm talking about people committing violence, people who are victimizing other people. And you say, yes, it's great, it's 30% less, but it's still 500% too much. So we're calling in the exterminators. So we're calling in for backup because you obviously can't get it to the levels that it should be. Now, that's my analogy. It might be crude. It might be somewhat controversial. But frankly, we're talking about people who are victimizing other people and who are shooting and killing people. So y'all, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shoot into this report of where we stand so far in the Labor Day violence surge that Chicago seems to see every year. And then we're going to see how your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating Dramacrat mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, how he's essentially turning his back on his city. Let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement.
It's been a bloody weekend so far in Chicago with more than a dozen shootings in 48 hours.
WGN's Brona Tumblety joins us from 35th and Michigan with details. Brona?
Good evening, guys. Since Friday evening around 5 o'clock, there have been at least 21 shootings across the city, totaling about 3 dozen victims, at least 5 of whom have died. A series of shootings in the last 48 hours have left 5 people dead in Chicago. This as the Trump administration possibly prepares to send thousands of National Guard members to our city. Today, bullet holes still visible in vehicles along the 1900 block of West 17th Street in Pilsen, some even being driven with smashed glass. It's after a shooting around 1:30 this morning, in which police say 3 men in their 40s were hit. Residents say the 2 youngest of those victims, believed to be aged 41 and 43, were attending an outdoor party when someone approached with a gun and shot them both in the legs. The older victim, whom police say was 46, passed away. Locals say he was homeless and harmless, well known in the neighbourhood. Witnesses tell WGN he was shot in the head, execution style. Less than half an hour before all of this, 4 people were struck on the 2700 block of West Haddon Avenue in Humboldt Park. All were in their 20s and 30s and taken to various hospitals in good condition. And a separate incident earlier in the evening in Bronzeville saw 7 victims. It happened along the 3500 block of South State Street shortly after 11. Authorities believe it to be a drive-by shooting, with someone in a vehicle opening fire into a crowd. All of the victims were shot in their lower limbs, and all are expected to survive. So far, no arrests in any of those incidents. As we've been reporting, though, if you look at the latest CPD data available, crime overall in the city this year is down by about 13%. And if you look specifically at shooting incidents, it has dropped by almost 40% on last year's numbers. We're live at 35th in Michigan. Brona Tumblety, WGN News.
So, y'all, there you see, okay, you see the surge in violence that happens every year, right? My condolences to all of the people in Chicago who have to live with this. Now, I say that your boy is turning his back on his city. Why is that? Because he obviously can't get this under control. He's been the mayor for 2 years, and this sort of thing is still happening. And he's going to tell you, hey, be happy. Because previously, this would have been 30 to 40% worse. So instead of 35 people, it might have been 50 people or 60 people or 100 people. So he's telling you, you should feel good that the mass shootings, there's less people being shot in mass shootings that are occurring on a weekly basis. You see what I mean? And is that called, is that called gaslighting? What is that even called? So I'm saying he's turned his back on Chicago to the point where he's signing an executive order trying to prevent his city from getting much needed federal help, y'all. Let's take a look.
We want to begin tonight with the executive order signed by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Now, this afternoon, he detailed the plan as President Trump threatens to send federal forces to Chicago. Our Randy Gyllenhaal has more on the plan set forth by the mayor.
Well, tonight on social media, President Trump posting a warning to Illinois as leaders here in Chicago are preparing for the unprecedented.
We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson vowing pushback against White House plans to send ICE agents or even National Guard troops into Chicago. taking a page from Trump and signing this executive order, largely symbolic, requiring federal agents wear body cameras and uniforms and show their faces, declaring Chicago police will remain locally controlled.
We may see militarized immigration enforcement. We may also see National Guard troops. This president continues to go well beyond the bounds of the Constitution.
Trump citing crime in Chicago, pointing to 6 homicides last weekend, even as killings are down about 30% this year. Writing on Truth Social, the weak and pathetic governor of Illinois just said he doesn't need help in preventing crime. He is crazy. He better straighten it out fast, or we're coming.
They're just looking to invade the city of Chicago. This is a part of his plan to do something really nefarious, which is to interfere with elections in 2026. He wants to have troops on the ground.
The operation could be based out of North Chicago. Naval Station Great Lakes is set to host federal ICE and Homeland Security agents. It's unclear if the National Guard will join, and using the Guard for domestic crime could be unconstitutional.
He cannot use the National Guard to enforce immigration law, because in order to federalize the National Guard, there has to be an insurrection, or we must be under some kind of invasion or rebellion in order to justify that.
Well, Chicago officials say there is no emergency here. If the immigration raids were to start next week, they could coincide with the Mexican Independence Day celebrations here in the city. Reporting downtown, Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 5 News.
Now, on top of signing this pretty useless executive order that is not worth the paper it's printed on, your boy has also run his city, or continued to run his city, into the ground fiscally to the tune of a $1.15 billion budget shortfall. Are you surprised? I'm not.
As Labor Day weekend arrives, tourists continue to visit Chicago's top attractions. Revenue generated from amusement and recreation taxes is up this year, but not nearly enough to bail the city out of a budget deficit that is larger than originally expected.
Without significant shifts in how we balance our budget, the services that the people of Chicago have begun to rely upon, they would certainly be in jeopardy.
As he begins the process of balancing the 2026 budget by the end of the year, Mayor Johnson says the city is $1.15 billion in the hole. The increased forecast includes closing this year's budget $146 million short and possibly having to absorb a controversial pension payment the Chicago Board of Education voted not to include in the school district's budget.
Our economy does remain resilient, but fiscal discipline is certainly required in this moment.
But the mayor's critics say fiscal discipline was required the moment Johnson took office.
I think the way we got here was the Johnson administration just started piling on more and more expenditures over and over and over again every month.
Former City Council Finance Committee Chairman Scott Waguespack says the Johnson administration has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on contracts without City Council approval during the migrant crisis. He also says the mayor refused to right-size government after COVID and expanded staffing at City Hall.
We really don't have enough in the revenue side of things to pay for the things that he wants. You have to cut. And if you don't cut, your only option is to borrow more or to hit the property tax hike.
Besides a grocery tax, Johnson did not offer any specifics on how he plans to close the deficit. He has consistently called for the ultra-rich and large corporations to pay more, but many of the mayor's progressive revenue ideas will take action from Springfield. When asked, the mayor would not commit to layoffs or a property tax hike.
There are ways in which we can create efficiencies without necessarily laying people off, but again, it's too early to be able to make that determination.
The mayor is expected to present his budget recommendations mid-October. It will then be followed by departmental hearings. The hope is to have the full city council vote on a budget in November.
So y'all, there's going to be a federal surge into Chicago soon. I think we can all agree that if it were not a sanctuary city, that if it were overall a safe city, this surge wouldn't even be on the table, right? And I think we can all agree that they need the help. But I'm not saying that I think a federal surge is the best answer. I don't know. Frankly, I don't have any way to know that. All I know is that whatever they've been doing is not working, right? And they don't seem like they can really, the leadership there doesn't seem like it can be left to its own devices to make things much better. That's what I'm saying. So y'all, we're going to close this out. I'm going to do my wrap up, and then I'm going to close this out with Danielle Carter. She is a Chicago resident of Chicago Flips Red. She is an outspoken voice for sanity in the city, for peace in the city, for reasonable policies in the city. And I have put her X handle on the video so that y'all can all go give her a follow, give her kudos, and like the video. But I'm gonna run it here because y'all are already watching, and she has something to say, and you should be able to hear it. So y'all drop a comment down below. Do you think that the illustrious sub 10% approval rating Dramacrat Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, what do you think he's gonna do when those federal agents show up at his doorstep? What do y'all think he's gonna do? It's kind of an open-ended question. How's he gonna handle it? Let me know down in the comments, y'all. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. For my people with the retirement, y'all, hit the link. You can go down in the description. The very first link, Paralegal Gold, PARALEGOLD.com. Go get the information about protecting your retirement from this crazy world we're in, y'all, with gold, the oldest, strongest, hardest, longest, strongest money that mankind has ever known. And speak to my people at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. See you back in the next one. We're going to flow right into Danielle Carter.
I just woke up to some tragic news, and I want to send out condolences out to the family on behalf of Chicago Flips Red. I just received news that between sundown Saturday and sunrise today, 25 people were shot across Chicago. 3 of them lost their lives. Nearly half of the victims were targeted in a pair of mass shootings, both involving drive-by gunmen who opened fire on a large crowd. With one of the mass shootings, this report comes from Chi-Town Crime Chaser. Big ups to him. This happened on 36th and State, mass shooting, 5 people shot. Chicago police are investigating a mass shooting that left 5 people wounded at an after party overnight. CPD was merely monitoring a large after party, which started at another nearby location, celebrating Stateway Gardens project reunion. Shots were fired at the party, which made CPD call in a 10-1 emergency, prompting a large response from multiple districts. CPD located several gunshot victims on the scene. Some self-reported to the hospitals. CPD found a rifle in the passenger seat of a car. This is what I've been saying on every platform that I've been on. When I went on CNN on the Victor Blackwell show, when he started telling me about the crime statistics and how they're down, and I keep telling these people, you can't tell us that crime is down because we're experiencing what's going on in our communities. You can't tell us what's going on. We know what's happening. We know how dangerous it is. We know that it's not safe. And you want us to listen to Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. Now, Pritzker told us how safe our communities was while he was downtown on the boat. And you want us to listen to him. You want us to listen to Brandon Johnson, who have 150 police detail that's protecting his family, his kids, his wife, and him. And you want us to listen to those people tell us that crime is down in our communities when this is 6 mass shootings in the span of 2 months. So yes, we need help. President Trump, we welcome you to Chicago to help our communities and our streets and our city and state become safer. Yes, we welcome you, and we are going to hold these elected officials. We're going to hold all of these Democrats accountable for what they did and what they're doing come election day. So I just want to send my deepest condolences out to the family. And yeah, I just, enough is enough. We are tired and we want our streets safe.